it's Tania Gabrielle, Wealth Astro-Numerologist, and welcome to Star Codes. This is the Astrology and Numerology forecast where we look at an upcoming event in the celestial realms to help us navigate it with the most compassion and high vibrational energy as possible. And in this case, it's the Taurus eclipse, the lunar full moon eclipse with the moon in Taurus, the sun in Scorpio, both at 5 degrees. And it happens on October 28th at 9:24 p.m. That's Universal Time, 4:24 p.m. Eastern in New York, and 1:24 p.m. Pacific in LA. And you don't have to be a Taurus or a Scorpio to benefit from this forecast because you have both signs in your astrology birth chart. So this full moon is happening somewhere in your chart, as it is for everyone. So full moon eclipses are really powerful culmination points. And with the sun in Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto, and Pluto making its final moments in the sign of Capricorn. Basically, Pluto's been in Capricorn for a long time, many years, and is in the process of leaving and moving into Aquarius. So Pluto is very activated. And because of that, when Scorpio is part of any celestial events at this time, the energy is even more magnetized. So Pluto just moved direct about a week ago or so, and is still stationing at 27 degrees because it moves so slowly. So when a planet is at a standstill, it is at its most powerful. It's very magnetic. So during the Libra eclipse on October 14th, we were introduced to the sign of supreme balance, a sign ruled by Venus. And now we're moving to the Taurus full moon eclipse. The Libra was a new moon eclipse. And Taurus is also ruled by Venus. So we have a double Venus emphasis, which is such a beautiful planet of pleasure, of love, of beauty, and harmony, and everything that brings you a sense of equilibrium and things that you value that are uplifting. So let's look at the numerology code for a minute before we go deeply into the meaning of the stars. So it's the 28th of October, and the full universal date adds up to 18. 28 reduces to 10 and 1. 18 reduces to 9. So we have a major shift of the number 1, new beginnings, and the 9 endings, the first and last single digit. This means there's a lot of releasing, a lot of resetting, a lot of bold new beginnings, changes of plans, shifts, big decisions, and stepping into leadership, because 1 and 9 are both leadership numbers. So these two eclipses, both governed by Venus, they are symbolizing the importance of balance and diplomacy and communication and harmony, which is Libra. And for Taurus, Venus emphasizes security and peace and pleasure. And so with the sun in Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto and also the ancient ruler Mars, these are planets of power and transformation and courage and confidence and forward momentum. So there's a lot of forward momentum energy regarding these particular topics. We are in the 21st century. We are in the 2020s. 21 is the number of truth. The truth shall set you free. And 2020 gives you 2020 vision, symbolically, of two sides coming together and communicating. So the combination of these two energies is really being activated right now. And this is a really big turning point, as so often the eclipse cycles are. Now, what's very important is we're moving into 2024 in a couple months, and 2024 is an 8 universal year. And this eclipse season is happening in an 8 universal month, October 2023. So it is activating a theme of taking ownership, taking responsibility, stepping up, and walking your talk. And because the eclipse happens at 5 degrees, the sun is at 5 degrees in Scorpio and the moon is at 5 degrees in Taurus. And 5 is the number of flexibility and, first and foremost, freedom and liberty. So really the theme here now is the truth shall set you free. And Scorpio really brings that home, where the sun is, and also 2 other planets. We have Mars in Scorpio, we have Mercury in Scorpio. So Mercury's communication, Mars is confidence. It can be very aggressive on the one hand, and on the other hand, it can really dive into having the courage to speak your mind. So we need to now really understand how important it is to trust and to have hope, because the moon is not only in Taurus, but it's conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter is currently in Taurus, and Jupiter is the planet of trust and hope. And so this can bring very fortunate energy if we allow the highest vibrational energy of peace and compassion to infuse what it is that we say and do. The opposition makes it very tense, right? A full moon, in this case, a full moon eclipse, has the sun, Mercury, and Mars opposite the moon and Jupiter. So we need to bring that tension into balance. There are 2 sides in a full moon equation, and those sides need to talk and communicate and come into a place where the listening is really emphasized, so that each side puts itself in the other side's shoes, and conversations can bring harmony and solve whatever tension is there through the act of compassion. So these 2 eclipses are truly emphasizing truth and freedom through the lens of beauty, peace, love. And the truth that is being talked about is the universal truth. So what is always true about life, and how life actually operates, and that some things are unchanging, such as physical laws about nature. There are certain unchanging laws that we know to be true, and in the same way we have metaphysical laws that are true, and they are true whether we believe it or not. For example, nature does go through its natural cycles whether we want to believe it or not, and in the same way we have metaphysical laws as well. So it's important now to really understand those metaphysical laws, especially at this time, because not acknowledging them is like not acknowledging the laws of nature, and that will not serve us. So many people struggle because they don't understand the truth about these metaphysical laws. They don't understand that they govern actual life and how life operates and what life actually is about. And I know it's very difficult to recognize these laws versus the laws of nature, which are physical. They're represented to us in a physical way. Metaphysical laws are not. And metaphysical laws operate over a long period of time very often, whereas nature is constantly unfolding and very easy to observe. And so that brings us really, when we're talking about lifetimes regarding metaphysical laws, that brings us to the law of karma. And when you look at Scorpio and Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio, the laws of karma are very much embedded in that sign. And the most important metaphysical law initially to understand, and there are many, is the law of karma, because it's central to truth, just as gravity is central to the laws of nature. And karma is often stated as you reap what you sow, but karma isn't that simple. It's very complex. Those words imply that what you do to others, they will do to you. However, that misses the purpose and intent of karma, which is not to punish, it is to teach. And if karma is looked at as punishment at times in certain cultures, or just certain belief systems really, it's only because it's often a very efficient way to teach something. However, the soul always agrees to the experience of the teaching method itself. And that's really important to understand, because life does not punish, it teaches. So it's a teaching method if that's how you want to look at it. And if it seems to teach in a very harsh way, there has been an invitation to do that by the soul, which is learning through that particular method. However, there are so many ways for us as soul-centered beings to learn what we need to learn. And we choose many different methods. We can learn gently, which usually takes a bit more time, or we can pick a more challenging way to learn, and that goes more quickly usually. But in either case, the events or the experience of what it is that we're learning are purely designed to heal, to evolve, and not to punish. Punishment is actually not a very effective teacher whatsoever. It can teach you not to do something, but at a great cost. And a cost at also loving yourself and loving others, which is really the ultimate lesson. Those who receive punishment have shame, they have anger, they have resentment, and that's a very difficult place to be, to learn from. So we need to understand that punishment is more the ego's way to remedy whatever mistakes were made or crimes committed, whatever the case may be. And we as humans need to see the ineffectiveness of punishment itself, because punishment perpetrates pain, it perpetrates a negative energy, and it doesn't magnify healing. And there's nothing healing that comes from punishment. Love is what heals. Love is what brings people out of the egoic state of consciousness. And love is compassion, it's kindness, it's attention, it's acceptance. And these are the qualities that heal. These are the frequencies of healing. And it is true that we reap what we sow in this lifetime or another lifetime. And often what we sow, we get an immediate reaction. If we're not kind to somebody, they will respond right away, right? Other decisions we make take a longer time. For example, if we are on a diet that doesn't support us, then we will feel the health effects many years, sometimes decades down the road. And some of the things we do are not met until another lifetime. So it really does not make sense to use punishment from a karmic standpoint, because it's not the best way to teach what needs to be learned. And all that really usually needs to be learned is compassion. Walking in somebody else's shoes. So life is a school for us to evolve. And Scorpio and Taurus are fixed signs, which means they give us security in many ways, but they also point out those things that we have been accepting, especially in our belief system, with a fixity that means we're not flexible about it. So this eclipse, or the series of eclipses, but especially the one in Taurus with the sun in Scorpio, we are learning to release ourselves. It's 5 degrees. 5 degrees, sun and moon means freedom, flexibility, letting go, exploring, curiosity. So if we all understand that life is always trying to teach us something when we're confronted by a challenge or a problem or a difficult person, then it's much easier to learn from the experience. However, if we don't understand that life is a school, it's more difficult for us to learn from our experiences, because then we feel victimized, ashamed, we feel like a failure, we feel angry, we feel confused. So it's very important to see that everything that life brings us serves as a purpose for our soul to grow. And curiosity is very important, because we want to be curious about what that purpose is. We want to know what it is, why our experiences are showing up in terms of how they're helping us to grow, and how they're helping us to shape our character, to become more courageous, or responsible or reliable or joyful or kind or persevering, strong, patient, loving, wise, resourceful. Life teaches us all these things, and life is the only thing that can teach us these things. We cannot learn these things by reading books, by watching videos, right? Only life teaches us this. Life is the lesson. And we can either learn our lessons willingly or we can learn them unwillingly, which means it's either going to go more quickly or more slowly. Of course, if we're unwilling, it just takes longer, right? So eventually, everyone comes around and embodies those beautiful qualities. So also remember that karma can work through others, and it often does. Life circumstances that bring other people into our life, they're designed for us. Others are our teachers, and they are our teachers by how they respond to what we do and what we say, so that they give us instant feedback like a mirror on how our words and our deeds affected them, which is an opportunity for us to learn to speak and act in ways that produce better results. So this is the key, really, because if you don't treat others well, then they won't treat you well. If you do treat them well, they will treat you well. So your relationships really are the key to understanding the law of karma. And how you treat others really matters. In Libra, the first eclipse we had is very much teaching us that. And the Taurus Scorpio eclipse is teaching us that as well, because in an opposition, we have two sides. So it really requires listening, as I was saying. You can create a positive experience of life for yourself or a negative one. And that is up to you. When we look at Venus again, Venus that is the planet that rules both eclipses, the law of love, which is another metaphysical law, is governed by Venus. And love is what gives birth to life. It sustains it, it guides it. Love is behind life itself. And giving a loving hand, not a judgmental hand or a cruel hand, is behind all life. And this is one of those laws, the law of love, that is very difficult to feel, to understand when we come from the egoic point of view, because the ego thinks that life is to be feared. The ego thrives on fear, on cruelty, on being scary, on just projecting its own fears onto life. And so the ego is what makes life scary and cruel, not life itself. Life is not cruel. Life is beautiful. Life is benevolent. Life is wise. But the ego is not. It creates the confusion, the conflict, the negative feelings. So without an ego, we would be in love with life itself. We would see the benevolence of life. And we would see the divine design of life. That life has a purpose, that life has a design, and is guided by higher forces. So looking at one more planetary transit during this Taurus eclipse, there's a trine to Saturn from the sun and a sextile from the moon. And Saturn really speaks to the constancy of all divine laws. Saturn brings longevity and stamina and the practical manifestation powers. Saturn rules Capricorn, where Pluto is in, the ruler Scorpio, and Taurus is also an earth sign, just like Capricorn. So there's a lot of energy here to make things last. And Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, is trying to Uranus, the freedom planet, just like the 5 degrees, the number 5. So Venus is bringing a new sense of freedom regarding how we express affection and romance and love and pleasure, and welcoming unexpected approaches, new beliefs. Venus brings a connection to positive energy, love, harmony. And the truth is, love is behind life, so love supports us, and we are beloved by Creator, and the Creator is making love manifest in form, and life unfolds perfectly with divine law. And this is for the highest good of everyone, for the highest good of the whole. And Venus embodies that. So the stars and numbers, as you can see, they always reveal the messages we need at the moment we need them. They're behind all the teaching that we need in order to live life in the highest capacity. So it is my pleasure to also introduce to you my launch of the Ultimate Yearly Forecast for 2024, which, like I said, is an 8 universal year. And to watch a video about this annual event, it'll be the 10th time I'm presenting it, this live stream. Go to 2024forecast.com and you can learn all about it. It's going to be really exciting. So I hope you can join me on December 12th, on 12/12/2023, for this amazing live stream. In the meantime, I wish you a very beautiful, peaceful, harmonious, loving Taurus lunar eclipse, and sending you so much love and compassion. And thank you for joining me again on Star Codes. Lots of love.